Hello, boys and girls. I am grandmaster Ingvar Jóhannesson from Iceland, and I want to bring you a fantastic game from the Asian Championship. This game was played today on the top board. I wish I could have brought you this game earlier today, but I was working and then I had a very important game to watch. Iceland against Turkey in the European qualifying. And Iceland won. 2-1 for Iceland. We got up 2-0. They got one back, 2-1, but we held out for a well-deserved victory. Our fourth in 5 games against Turkey, which is pretty amazing, especially considering that Turkey just beat France on their home turf a few days ago. But enough of football. We're looking at chess here. And Alireza Firouzja with the white pieces. We already had a look at one of his games from this tournament against Praggnanandhaa. That game was very exciting. All the other games so far he has won. And this was in the 5th round, and he was playing against Murali Karthikeyan from India. And we had a King's Indian. So let's quickly get the opening moves of the King's Indian. And here Alireza plays h3. And this is the so-called Makhachkov variation, especially after knight f3. Early h3 perhaps is not a pure Makhachkov variation. After knight f3, h3 is Makhachkov, but it's sort of a hybrid. And he goes bishop e3 here. He saves the knight on g1. So Karthikeyan goes with c5. Now we have knight f3 and queen a5. And this, of course, threatens to capture the pawn on e4. So you don't have time for a move such as d5, because that will simply take on e4, and that's a big catastrophe for white, because we got all these pieces lining up against the knight on c3, and you can't add sufficient defense. So Alireza played knight d2, and this is a surprisingly rare position in chess practice, in chess theory, and this has only occurred once before. And with all due respect to the players, who are now pretty good and strong players, rated around 2300. When they played the game, it was in the world under 10 championship. So at the time, both players were unrated, so we can't really call it a significant game. So this is really uncharted territory. And now after taking on d4, Alireza played knight to b3. And the idea is to, we attack the queen and we want to take on d4. Probably with a knight. At least we have avoided the pin here on the king and the attack on the pawn. So presumably the queen has to move. But where to move it? Well, this is where the fireworks start. Karthikeyan did not want to retreat the queen. He took on c3. Queen takes e3. So queen for a piece. Queen takes knight, check. Now what the hell is going on here? B takes c3. Queen for a piece, yes please, but black gets one piece back. Now we do have other examples, especially in the King's Indian, where 2 pieces are sacrificed for a queen. I will show you later on my channel games by Yurtaev, who was a strong player from the Soviet Union. He had some great ideas in the King's Indian, and he had games where he sacrificed 2 pieces for a queen. Also, there was a famous variation where Bronstein played a queen sacrifice. I did have a video on that particular variation. It was played in the TCEC championship, so I will link to that, where Lila Zero played against Stockfish. A famous variation, also 2 pieces for a queen. And that's exactly what we have here. There's also a famous game in chess history between, well, a game played by Nesmandimov. I haven't covered it yet on my channel. It's been covered in plenty of places, but hopefully I will add it to my channel as well. It's a fairly famous game, but of course, when you sacrifice your queen for only 2 pieces, it's a long-term sacrifice. You're getting positional compensation, and that's exactly what happened in this game. Now, first of all, I mean, you don't really want to take on e3. This will leave you with a horrible pawn structure, and the essence of black's sacrifice is the excellent dark squared bishop. And these 2 pawns mean that black can also fairly safely establish a blockade on c5 and e5. Most importantly, e5. Either knight can come to e5, an excellent outpost, and black can, you know, go for piece play, try to attack these weak pawns. So Alireza plays f3. Another option is, you know, just to get on with development, like bishop d3, and allow black to take, something like this. But Alireza prefers to play f3, keep the pawn structure intact, and his idea is that he will win this pawn later. We will see how that goes. Knight h5 now. Queen c1 attacking the pawn, but bishop h6 protects it. g4 and knight to f4, of course, indirectly protects the pawn, because if you take, we have check and an attack on the queen. Double attack with the bishop and the knight. Alireza goes king d1. The idea is shelter for the king on c2, and also maybe you want to now take on e3. So black plays knight to e6, king to c2, and knight c6. Now, when you sacrifice, you know, your queen for 2 pieces like this, it's very important that you get active piece play. You kind of get a blockade on your opponent's position, and there are weak pawns. So right now, we have a firm blockade on the f4 square. e5 is going to be an outpost, and we will be able to put something on the c file and pressure the weak c4 pawn, and then maybe afterwards the c3 pawn. So black seems to have very interesting compensation. Probably the position is still around, let's say, dynamically equal. The computers aren't really sure what's going on here. h4, so white is trying to shut in the bishop with g5, so black prefers to keep it. Bishop to f4, queen d1, knight e5, the excellent outpost. And note, yeah, that we have this very nice blockade here as compensation for the queen. Knight to c1, bishop d7, the bishop wants to come to a4. White prefers to not allow that with a4, but black, yeah, getting at it. Rook a to c8, half open file, targeting the pawn on c4 with 2 pieces. And this is sort of the first point where the computer doesn't like what's going on. Alireza played knight e2, and the computer preferred knight d3. When the game probably still goes on, and black has compensation. After knight e2, okay, the bishop retreats. But it seems like now the pawn on c4 is dead meat, and this pawn is also weak. g5 was played, bishop back to g7. And even though you can play f4, you know, it only weakens your position. Black will take on c4. And you're just leaving weaknesses behind. Alireza actually preferred bishop h3. But this does give up the f3 pawn, which Karthikeyan took. Queen d3, knight e5, and now finally we get the e3 pawn. But the cost is getting to be perhaps a bit too much. Knight takes c4, and black now has 2 pawns. 2 pieces and 2 pawns as compensation. Now white could potentially take here on a7, but a quick glance, and it seems that, yeah, let's say a move like rook c5. Well, maybe there's a better move. should be a move to, just keep the queen out of the game. I haven't looked at this with the computer. b6 hangs the knight, the bishop, knight c5, bishop takes d7, knight takes d7. Even still, this is, looks quite solid. But perhaps, this is something white should have looked at. Just gonna have a quick look. So it seems that in case of queen takes a7, bishop c6 is sufficient. White will have problems defending this pawn, and if you defend it, let's say with the bishop, then knight c5 and the queen is getting shot in. So Alireza did not go for this, he played queen f2. But very soon it seems that black is in just complete control here. Rook c5, a nice move, getting the rook out before playing bishop c6, both protecting b7 and attacking e4. Bishop d2, and now f5. Kind of activating the final piece. This was the final piece to get activated. We have nice knights, we have the bishop activated, the rook is, outside of the pieces. So after g takes f6, bishop f6, looks like we have almost, full activation of the black pieces. And he is, well, almost not all material. He has 2 pieces and 2 pawns, which is 8 points for a queen, which is 9 pawns. But with 9 points, not pawns. But with the activity of the pieces, the computer, it prefers black, and I think most humans at this point would prefer black. Alireza went for rook f1. His idea was to give back the queen after bishop takes c3, attacking the queen. He played queen takes c5. Now we have some trades. King takes f8 and king takes c3. And unfortunately for white, he is up the exchange, but black has 3 pawns for it. And as myself personally, a player who plays certain lines of the Taras French where you do give up the exchange, this is like, that times a million in compensation, and black is just, you might just be completely winning here. a5, the pawn on e4 drops, and now it's 4 pawns for the exchange. So at this point, it's just a matter of black not dropping anything. a6, bishop back to c6, rook f1. This might look scary, but there's no mate. Okay, if you had gone back to the back rank, it would actually have been mate, but the king on h6 is actually not in trouble. After this, an h6, black is ready to take on h4. And yeah, just a few more moves. Black, again, 4 pawns for the exchange, and it's just a matter of not hanging anything and to push the pawns. So a few more moves happened here. King b4, knight d4, rook e1, king f3, and here finally Alireza resigned. So a very nice queen sacrifice. It's not often that we see positional queen sacrifices. I do encourage you to have a look at the video on the Alpha Zero game, where we do go over some history of a similar line where black actually does give up the queen for 2 minor pieces. This particular game seems like a much better version of the same sacrifice, but nonetheless, have a look at it and widen your vast chess knowledge. I hope you enjoyed the video. I really enjoyed this game and was excited to show it to you guys, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.